going on, guys? Jesse504 here, bringing you an LBT highlight match. So this week we got battle between Master Riolu and Awkward Vulpix, and then we got another special battle at the end. So Awkward Vulpix versus Master Riolu. Vulpix was obviously ranked pretty high, whereas Master Riolu on the power rankings wasn't quite as high. And Riolu definitely said that that motivated him, and now he's going to play really hard. I know made some transactions after to try to buffer the team, wants to see himself higher in the power rankings. So it's always great when someone sees that and they want to do better just because of what others said. But let's get into this battle. So obviously for the teams, Awkward Vulpix brought Seismitoad, White Kyurem, Lucario, Mewtwo, Heatran, and Jellicent. And Master Riolu brought Melmetal, Naganadel, Alola Ninetales, Blissey, Blaziken, and Mawile. So from Riolu's side, I see that the Blaziken is there to speed pass into many threats, including the Mawile and the Naganadel being the big two, and maybe Alola Ninetales is a tertiary if that thing wants to go offensively. And then Blissey kind of shrugging off a lot of special hits, and Melmetal shrugging off a lot of physical hits. So this thing is a pretty well-crafted team this week. Up against Awkward Vulpix, bringing the Seismitoad, White Kyurem, Lucario, Mewtwo, Heatran, and Jellicent. So kind of prepped really hard for the Melmetal, prepped really hard for the Naganadel. But other than that, some of the threats kind of went unnoticed because the Blaziken, I feel like, was almost an afterthought for this team because they're like, yeah, waters check the Melmetal. They didn't really pay attention to how much that Blaziken could really do if it speed pass just as a support mon, because normally Blaziken is thought of as an offensive mon. But in Ubers, it's a great support mon with speed boost plus baton pass. But anyways, let's get into this battle. So starting off with the Jellicent lead, which I felt was pretty safe against Ninetales. So that was both two solid options. Veil is a great turn one play, just kind of reducing all the damage for 5 turns. Kind of being able to do what you want for the first 5 turns a little more freely, whether that be go into one of the offensive threats or claim lives, and just or get Blaziken set up to pass into one of the big threats. Like if that Mawile got to like +2 or +3 speed, that could just be the end of the game right there. I don't really know what exactly wants to take too many Mawile hits. The coaches sent me their moveset, so I kind of have a little bit of intel as to what each team wants to do this week. So obviously I can just point out some of the techs that were there. For example, the Heatran having body press to kind of deal with the Blissey a little bit better as like a nice special wall, I thought was pretty smart. It also helps deal with the Melmetal maybe a little bit, even though you kind of just want to Magma Storm that thing. But Heatran just doing in work right now on the Blissey, even though the Blissey can just soft blow it right back up. So this is a losing matchup for the Heatran. So at this point, I kind of just felt like it was a little bit of a stall fest. I might just want to switch out. But chooses to go for the Magma Storm and then get Seismic tossed. And so right after the Magma Storm is set up, then we see a switch, which I felt was an iffy play. Because now, sure, you take no damage and you don't lose your Heatran, but I guess maybe you might want to add a body press for just that little bit more damage. And then the Willow, again, kind of an iffy play. I don't really know if you really want to Willow the Blissey as opposed to status it some other way. However, Vulpix wasn't really packing any other status this week, so I guess any status is greater than no status. But the heal bell, so it doesn't really end up mattering. So yeah, this Blissey's kind of self-sufficient. It's a monster, but it doesn't really have a great way to touch most of the team, which is why when Vulpix just goes into Lucario now, it's pretty free. Nothing is too intense. So this Lucario looks like it wants to set up a Swords Dance. And for the ability, I might have gone Inner Focus this week, seeing the Mawile as a probable switch-in with Intimidate, but chooses to go for some other ability. Probably justified just to be able to maybe get a boost off of like a knockoff or something, because this thing obviously can't get knocked off. Goes into the Blaziken. So yeah, fair, protect on the Blaziken. So now this is an interesting thing because you can either go into like your Jellicent, or you can try to get some damage off, and chooses to go Jellicent here is pretty smart. But this thing now is just at +2 speed, and it can pass into something that can also take a hit from this Jellicent. because the Jellicent offensively doesn't really pressure the Melmetal, doesn't pressure the Naganadel. So it passes into the Naganadel, and this Jellicent kind of can't really touch it. It burns it, but Naganadel is a strong special attacker. Maybe if like it was the Melmetal or something. But I guess one thing that I kind of slept on from Luke's team, or from Riolu's team, excuse me, is the resilience from status, because this thing just doesn't get touched by status very much, like especially Toxic Stall. The Blissey can heal Bell, but the strong offensive threats like Melmetal, Naganadel, and Mega Mawile can't get toxic whatsoever unless Salazzle is involved. But and then like the more tanky mons can always just get healed off by Blissey. So I felt that Naganadel was handled pretty well for what it was. But the problem still persists of this Blaziken is going to be able to just set everything up. So, yeah, so the Blaziken can, and it shows that it can just do work on its own as well. Not only be a support mon, but also be able to deal damage and then pass out when it's not in a favorable matchup. So a nice scouting play. So pretty much sees that the Seismitoad is physical if it wanted to run offense this week. Baton passes into the Alolan Ninetales, which I don't really know how much this thing really needed speed. It was pretty much already going to be the fastest thing, barring any Scarfers other than the Mewtwo, but I don't think you need to pass 3 stages of speed. Like, at this point, you could just pass into the Melmetal. Yache Berry is solid prep from Vulpix, because although it normally would have no effect, being able to only proc on the Freeze Dry is something pretty special. So being able to live a hit, but it doesn't really have anything to capitalize off of that lived hit, which is kind of what you want when you have those resistance berries, is something to help you capitalize off of that. And then kind of getting rid of the Ninetales, but now you're just on your last legs with Mewtwo and White Kyurem. The Melmetal just comes in and it can do what it wants. The Willow missed, but I don't really know how much that mattered, because the Bash would have killed this thing anyways, or it would have left it alive with a little bit of health, and then maybe a Focus Blast came out, and if that thing hit, but even still, it's under Veil, so it wouldn't have killed. So now Kyurem comes out with the Focus Blast, drops the Spadef, but maybe if like he did that on the previous turn, then that could have been something. So great battle from Riolu's part, just kind of seeing that Blaziken was kind of his pivot for the entire game, and just using that thing to his advantage to be able to excellently claim kills freely and pivoting around his breakers. And now this team is getting even stronger through free agency. I might have accidentally inspired a madman to kill everyone in this league. I'm really terrified of what Riolu can do in the coming weeks. And on to the second battle. This battle is between Fujiki and Sir Kill, and obviously this week they decided to bring memes against each other, so let's just see what exactly they did. Week 1 meming is kind of weird. I just have it on hyper fast because it's kind of just a long, pretty boring battle, to be honest. Like, Astonish Chandelure, when would you ever see that? A lot of the mons are packing like World Dive Stall or like Whirlpool Bounce Stall. Like you can see on this Greninja, it's like Sub, Bounce, and then the Hitmontop comes in. Hitmontop might be like the one normal-ish mon in the entire game. But Sub Marshadow, like Sub Will-O-Wisp, is whack. Like, special Marshadow is not something that you'd see ever. Like, this is just a funny match. I don't really know how competitive it is, but it's fun to watch. Just all around hilarious. They played pretty well. It was like unique, and so they had to figure out a way to play with these weaker sets, but they figured out a way to do it, and they figured out a way, or Sir Kill figures out a way to win with it, which is great. Obviously, his team is really strong, and having a strong showing in a meme battle, it might seem insignificant. However, it kind of just shows your ability as a battler if you're able to win with these weird sets like Sir Kill did. But not only win with them, but win 6-0 with them. That's something that requires a lot of skill. And that's something that I'm going to have to look out for when he does start bringing those real sets. And Fujiki can't really feel too bad that she got 6-0'd, because even though it was a 6-0, like, you weren't working with any real sets. And so this Bulu, I saw the pace for it. it's pretty sick. It's a stored power set. Obviously, Bulu has a very weak special attack set, but it has some pretty good ways to set up with Bulk Up and Calm Mind. You can buffer both the physical and special, and it can also heal itself back up with Synthesis. So that was kind of pretty creative set in a meme battle. But this Garchomp can't really do anything to win. So that was the game. Kind of fun to watch, but obviously I don't really personally try to meme, at least while it's a week one and I'm still in contention for playoffs. But late season, that could be something. And that might end up being something that'll cost Fujiki a spot in playoffs because of this week one joke battle, because she has a strong team. So maybe joking around week one might not have been the smartest play. Come back to bite. But that was a pretty fun week one games. Stay tuned. Obviously, I won't be featuring myself in these because you'll be able to see my full live battle on my channel, but these battles are still fun to watch, give some more perspective onto how the other teams are doing in the league, because I won't be able to produce weekly power rankings as much as I would like to. They're pretty draining. So just being able to see how the other teams are doing is pretty entertaining. But as always, Jesse504 out.